Every once in a while, a person decides they've had enough. Enough of being average. Enough of being ignored. Enough of being trapped in the same old cycle. And when that decision is real, when it comes from the gut, it changes everything. This isn't a guide to small improvement. This is not about tips and tricks. This is about transformation. The kind that makes people say, "Is that really you?" In 21 days, you're going to reshape your habits, rewire your thinking, rebuild your self-image, and become someone your old self wouldn't even recognize. Not in theory, not in dreams, in reality. So if you're ready to commit, subscribe, stay with me, and do not skip a single day. Each chapter is one step closer to the person you were meant to be. Chapter 1. The decision that changes everything. It always starts the same way. Not with a lightning strike, not with a dramatic speech, but with a quiet decision made in the middle of an ordinary day. You look at yourself in the mirror, not the face, not the clothes, not the hairstyle, but deeper. You stare into the person you've been. And for the first time, you don't make excuses. You don't soften the truth. You don't justify where you are. You just look, and you say, "This version of me is not the one I want to carry forward." That moment, that raw, unfiltered moment, is the beginning of becoming unrecognizable, not to others, to yourself. We spend so much of our lives tolerating mediocrity, making peace with habits that drain us, staying loyal to comfort zones that kill our potential slowly, and the scariest part, most people never realize it. They keep living inside the same identity, playing the same role, repeating the same emotional cycles, until one day, life reminds them in a brutal way that time doesn't wait. But there are a few who snap out of it, a few who decide to rewrite everything, and when they do, the world around them changes, not because the world got better, but because they did. This is not about external change. That comes later. This is about an internal shift. A quiet but violent breaking of who you've been. A death of the old identity. A burial of the excuses, and a birth of something fierce. No one sees it when it happens. There's no celebration, no confetti. You're still in the same room, still in the same clothes, still facing the same problems, but something invisible cracks open inside you. And once it does, you can't go back. That's how it begins. You don't need motivation. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need that decision, that enough is enough moment, that never again feeling, that refusal to die with potential still locked inside your bones. Once that decision is made, the path opens. Now, don't confuse this path with ease. This isn't going to be clean. This isn't about productivity hacks or morning routines. This is war. With yourself, with your distractions, with your comfort, with the version of you that kept you small. And like any war, you must enter it fully. Not with hesitation, not with one foot in, but with everything. Because what you're fighting for is not just a better body, or more money, or more followers. What you're fighting for is freedom, peace, purpose, the right to look in the mirror 21 days from now and say, "That is no longer the person I used to be." Becoming unrecognizable is not about faking it. It's about shedding layers, layers that no longer serve you. You're not becoming someone else. You're becoming who you were always supposed to be, underneath the fear, the failure, the laziness, the shame. You already know the areas that need to change. You don't need another book to tell you. You've known for a long time. You've just been putting it off, waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready. But ready is a lie. You won't feel ready. You just decide. And once you do, everything changes, not all at once, but day by day. And that's what this journey is. 21 days of realignment. Not perfection, not performance, but pressure. Intentional pressure that builds diamonds from dirt. These next 21 days are not about impressing anyone. They're about confronting the small decisions that built your current reality. The snacks you ate in secret, the days you skipped the workout, the promises you broke to yourself, the mornings you snoozed instead of rising. They all added up. And now you reverse it. One habit, 1 hour, one brutal, unflinching commitment at a time. There will be resistance. There will be voices in your head telling you to slow down, telling you to rest, telling you you've tried before, it never works. You silence them, not by arguing, not by journaling. You silence them by acting. You will sweat. You will crave your old patterns. Your body will resist. Your mind will scream. Good. That's the sound of old chains breaking. If you're not in pain, you're not changing. Day 1 is the hardest because it's when you're still half in your old life. But if you push through today, if you make that decision and back it with action, you create momentum. And momentum is the one thing no one can give you and no one can take away. This is your fight. This is your rebirth. This is your line in the sand. You will not remain who you were. Not in 21 days. Not even in 10, because today you start becoming unrecognizable, and tomorrow you double down. Chapter 2. Burn the old identity. If you want to become someone new, you must first let go of who you used to be. This is the part most people never face. They try to evolve while still holding on to the very identity that's been holding them back. They want change, but they refuse to bury the version of themselves that was built on excuses, fear, and survival. That's like trying to run while dragging dead weight. At some point, you either let it go, or it pulls you back to where you started. You can't become unrecognizable while still protecting your old self. The behaviors, the stories, the guilt, the habits, the self-image you've rehearsed for years, they have to burn. And yes, it will hurt. But that's the price of transformation. Real transformation is not cute. It's violent. It's painful. It's deep. It takes tearing down the house you built just to survive and reconstructing one designed to thrive. You've told yourself certain stories for so long, they've become identity. I'm not disciplined. I always mess up. I'm not a morning person. I'm just not like them. These aren't facts. These are scripts. Written by pain, repeated by habit, reinforced by laziness. And now they're lies. If you want to rise, you can't just stack new habits on top of broken beliefs. You have to unlearn. You have to extract every excuse you planted in your foundation and rip it out. You have to tell yourself, with full honesty, that version of me is gone. It doesn't mean you erase your past. It means you stop letting it define your limits. Your mistakes aren't chains, they're blueprints, and when you look at them with clarity, you realize you were never weak, you were just unaware, you weren't stuck, you were untrained, you weren't lazy, you were unaligned. Now you see it, and now you shift it. Burning the old identity isn't about pretending it never existed. It's about stripping it of its power. The power to narrate your future. The power to define your ceiling, the power to whisper doubt into every new move you try to make. You've worn too many labels. Other people's expectations, childhood wounds, school systems, social media mirrors. You've built your identity on other people's opinions, and it has made you smaller than you were ever meant to be. But now you choose different. You choose not to carry what was never yours. You choose to walk away from patterns that once felt like personality. You choose to stop answering to an inner voice that only knows how to sabotage. It won't be comfortable. You'll feel like you're betraying yourself, because identity has roots. But not all roots are worth keeping. Some must be pulled up so that new things can grow, stronger things, sharper things. You will mourn the old version of yourself. That's part of the process. You'll miss the comfort of predictability. You'll miss the excuses that once kept you safe. But what's coming is worth it. And once you taste that freedom, Real, quiet, earned freedom. You'll never go back. This isn't about reinvention. It's about remembering who you were before life told you who to be. Before society handed you a script. Before pain taught you to shrink. To become unrecognizable, you must become honest, brutally honest. What habits do you still defend? What cycles do you still call normal? What identity have you wrapped around your neck like a badge? Rip it off. You can't outrun what you're still holding on to. So today is your funeral. Not a sad one, a powerful one. You're laying to rest every part of you that no longer belongs in the next chapter. You're burning the identity of almost. You're cremating the habits of maybe later. You're leaving behind the shell of good enough. And from those ashes, a new figure rises. One the world won't recognize, but you will. You'll see yourself clearly for the first time, not through the lens of fear, but through the fire of decision. This is where the real journey starts. Not in change, but in release. Let it burn. Chapter 3. Rewire your morning mindset. The way you begin your day is the way you shape your life. Most people lose the day before they even get out of bed. They open their eyes, and before their feet hit the floor, their mind is already under attack. They grab their phone, they check notifications, they scroll, they compare, they react. Their peace is gone before the sun has risen. But those who become unrecognizable, they do something different. They treat the morning like sacred ground, a place where identity is forged, not in chaos, not in noise, but in quiet commitment to becoming someone better. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You don't need to copy what a billionaire does. You need to reclaim your mind before the world gets a chance to touch it. This is where it begins. When you open your eyes each morning, you are standing on a battlefield, and the first few decisions you make will either set you up to rise or send you right back into old patterns. So what do? You build mental armor. You wake up with intention, not reaction. You breathe. You sit still. You claim the day with clarity. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it must be consistent. No one becomes unrecognizable by accident. You don't stumble into greatness. You create it, and your first creation each day is your state of mind. When you begin your morning with discipline, your body remembers who's in charge. Your thoughts don't wander, they follow, because you've set the tone. This isn't about productivity. It's about presence. It's about looking in the mirror while the rest of the world sleeps and saying, I'm not that person anymore. Today, I move different. The old you would hit snooze. The old you would scroll aimlessly. The old you would react to life. But the new you, the one you're becoming, wakes with purpose, moves in silence, starts with clarity, and builds with consistency. The mind is most fragile in the morning. What you feed it in the first 30 minutes becomes the lens through which you view the entire day. If you fill it with distraction, you begin the day scattered. If you fill it with silence, direction, and grounded thoughts, you walk with power. Don't let the noise in. Don't invite chaos into your bloodstream before you've even had water. Don't give the world your attention before you've given yourself your identity. You are not a slave to your phone. You are not a servant to other people's timelines. You are a builder, and builders start early. Even if it's only 10 minutes, carve out that space. Protect it. Sit in stillness. Read. Reflect. Move your body. Connect with your mission. Remind yourself who you're becoming. Not just through words, but through action. That first hour is where warriors are made. You want to become unrecognizable? Then make your mornings non-negotiable. Because if you keep beginning your day like your old self, you'll keep living like your old self. Nothing changes until you break that pattern. This isn't a habit. It's a declaration. You're not just waking up, you're stepping into your future. You're deciding what kind of man or woman you're going to be, long before anyone else lays eyes on you. You're sharpening your mind while the world sleeps. And when you do that long enough, you don't need to catch up with the world. The world starts chasing you, because now you're not reacting, you're creating. And creation requires space. So give it to yourself. No more wasted mornings, no more empty scrolling, no more mental clutter before breakfast. This is your space now. This is your time. And in this quiet hour, you become something most people never touch. Intentional, focused, relentless. When they finally see your transformation, they'll think it happened in the gym, or in your bank account, or in your new look. But you'll know the truth. It happened here, alone, before sunrise, in silence. Chapter 4: The pain of discipline is the price of freedom. No one becomes unrecognizable without pain. Not because pain is the goal, but because change hurts. And discipline, that's where it lives. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not motivational quotes or hype music or Instagram reels. It's the quiet decision to do what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're trying to become. And most people will never cross that bridge. Why? Because it hurts. It forces you to confront yourself. It demands effort when you're tired. It says no when you want yes. It says go when you want to stop. It says again when you think you've done enough. But here's the truth. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the price, and the pain of discipline is cheaper than the cost of regret. People think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But real freedom is not chaos, it's control. And control doesn't come from laziness. It comes from training yourself to stay locked in when everything in you wants to drift. You want to sleep in? Of course you do. You want to skip the gym? Naturally. You want to take a day off? Who doesn't? But when you chase comfort, you delay greatness. Every time you choose the easy way out, you steal from your future. You add more time to the clock. You push the vision further into the distance, and eventually you forget what you were even chasing. But when you choose discipline, when you feel the discomfort and lean into it, that's when your identity starts to shift. That's when your body starts listening to your mind. That's when your results start to compound. Discipline is hard. Yes, but you know what's harder? Waking up every day feeling stuck. Looking in the mirror and knowing you're capable of more, but doing nothing about it. Watching others rise while you stay the same because you were too soft with yourself. That's not freedom. That's prison. And the only way out, through. You've already started this journey. You've burned the old version. You've rewired your mornings. Now the work begins. And it's work that won't always feel rewarding in the moment. Some days you'll feel like you're doing everything right and still seeing nothing change. You'll question the process. You'll doubt the timeline. You'll hear the whisper in your head, why are you doing all this? That's where you must decide, are you in this for quick validation or lifelong transformation? Because this is not a 21-day challenge for entertainment. This is war against everything that made you settle. You don't push through because it feels good. You push through because you've chosen a standard for your life that no longer allows weakness to lead the way. And with every rep, every early wake-up, every choice to resist comfort, you're earning your freedom. The freedom to walk into any room and carry presence. The freedom to say no without guilt. The freedom to look at your reflection and feel pride instead of shame. The freedom to live life on your terms because you built the discipline to deserve it. Let the pain come. Let the voice in your head scream. Let the world tempt you back into softness. You don't have to enjoy it. You just have to endure it. Because discipline will not always feel good. But the life it creates, that feels better than anything you've ever tasted. Your mind may resist. Your body may fight. But your spirit, your deepest self, knows what's at stake. And it's waiting on the other side of pain. You want to be free. Earn it. Through discipline. Through consistency. Through the small daily choices that no one sees, but everyone will feel once you arrive. Keep moving. The discomfort won't last forever, but the version of you that rises through it, That version is unrecognizable. Chapter 5. Cut off what's holding you back. You cannot rise while you're still tied to weight. That's the truth most people ignore. They want to grow without letting go. They want to evolve without separation. They want to fly while still holding hands with everything that made them crawl. But it doesn't work like that. Becoming unrecognizable requires you to confront a brutal fact. You are being held back by something, or someone, or some story, and you already know what it is. It could be the friends you've outgrown but are still loyal to out of guilt. It could be the job that keeps your head barely above water but steals your soul every single day. It could be the subtle habits that feel harmless but destroy your focus, one small compromise at a time. It could even be your own voice, the one that whispers, "Be realistic," every time you try to dream. These are your anchors. And as long as you stay attached, you stay grounded. Not the good kind of grounded. The kind that keeps your wings tied and your mind boxed in. Cutting ties doesn't make you heartless. It makes you clear. This isn't about hate, it's about alignment. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Not everything you've carried this far is meant for your future. You've been dragging things behind you for years, dead weight disguised as normal life, and it's time to let it go. You've felt it already. The disconnect. That inner conflict when you're around certain people. The drain after spending time with them. The guilt when you skip your routines to stay comfortable with the crowd. The tension between who you are and who they still expect you to be. Those aren't random signals. That's your soul knocking on the door, telling you, this can't go on. And if you ignore it, you'll stay stuck. But if you honor it, if you start cutting ties, you create space. And space is what gives you freedom to grow. When you begin cutting off what's holding you back, you'll feel grief. It's real. Because you're not just losing people or places, you're losing identity. The version of you that was built in those circles, the you that was safe, accepted, known. But what you gain in return? Peace, power, space, silence, room to breathe, room to run. You begin to wake up without the need to check in with who you were. You stop rehearsing the same personality just to stay liked. You stop explaining yourself. You stop dimming your fire. Instead, you build a life that reflects the version of you you're becoming, not the version you're escaping. Understand this: you do not owe anyone your future. You do not have to stay in the same place just because you once felt welcome there. Comfort is not loyalty. Familiarity is not destiny. You were not born to carry everyone. You were not born to hold on to stories that drain you. You were born to rise, and rising requires cutting ties. Some of those ties are people. Some are routines. Some are late nights filled with nothing but mental fog and distraction. Some are foods that numb you. Some are apps that devour your time. Some are voices that echo in your mind long after the person is gone. They all whisper the same message: stay small, stay predictable, stay the same. But you didn't commit to 21 days of fire just to end up with the same weight on your back. So this chapter is your permission, not to be reckless, but to be ruthless. This is where you choose yourself. Not selfishly, but strategically. If a thing doesn't build you, it's breaking you. If a person doesn't believe in your next level, they're attached to your old one. And if a habit doesn't support the new identity you're building, it's an enemy. You don't need to make a dramatic announcement. You don't need to explain yourself. You just need to act. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. Leave the group chat. Delete the number. Say no without guilt. Stop showing up in rooms where your growth is a threat. Let the silence be your reply. And let the results be your explanation. Because once you remove the weight, your pace changes. You think clearer, you move faster, you breathe deeper. And then you realize it was never you who was broken. It was the stuff you were still carrying. Let it go. Watch what happens when you finally cut the rope. You'll rise so fast that the old you will feel like a stranger. And that's exactly what we're here to do. Become unrecognizable. Chapter 6. Build habits that rewire you forever. Transformation is not a one-time decision. It's not a moment of motivation or a wave of inspiration. Transformation happens when your habits change, when what you do daily starts aligning with the future you want to live in. The you that you're trying to become. That version already exists, but the bridge between where you are and who you're becoming is built from what you do every single day, not what you say, not what you hope, but what you repeat. Most people think change is about doing something massive, a breakthrough, a 30-day challenge, a new system. But true change is subtle, quiet, unseen. It's you choosing to stretch when you're tired, to study when your friends are partying, to write, to train, to build when no one is clapping, when no one even knows. That's the part that rewires your brain. You see, your brain doesn't care what you want. It responds to what you repeatedly do. The more you repeat an action, the deeper it carves into your identity. Habits are not just behavior, they're signals. They tell your mind, this is who I am now. So if you want to become unrecognizable, your first mission is not to do something huge. It's to pick small, non-negotiable actions that align with your new self, and then never skip them. This is not about motivation. Motivation fades. You already know that. This is about building a system so strong that even when you're tired, overwhelmed, uninspired, your habits still show up for you. Your habits still keep you aligned. You wake up and you don't think, you move. You don't question, you act, because you've trained yourself to show up regardless of how you feel. Let's be clear. Every habit you currently have is either feeding your future or feeding your failure. There is no neutral. The things you call little are creating big results behind the scenes, either for you or against you. The habit of checking your phone first thing in the morning, it's costing you clarity. The habit of pushing workouts until later, it's weakening your edge. The habit of overthinking before action, it's killing momentum. But the habit of rising early, it's buying you time. The habit of showing up daily, even when it's hard, that's giving you power. The habit of finishing what you start, that's building your character. Every action you take is casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And if you keep casting the right votes, even when they seem small, they stack, they build momentum. They create a shift that eventually makes the new identity impossible to ignore. You want to know why most people never change? Because they try to change everything at once. They make it too big, too dramatic. They want to become someone else overnight, but change doesn't respond to drama. It responds to consistency. Start small, but never skip. Pick 5 habits, that's it. 5 things that your future self would do every day, and start now. Lock them in. Let them become law in your life, no matter what. Even when you're tired, even when you're traveling, even when it feels pointless. Especially when it feels pointless, because those are the moments that matter most. When you do what you said you would do, not for results, but because you said you would. That's where identity is built, in the moments of doubt. In the hours when it's easier to quit. There will come a day when people ask you, how did you change so fast? And you'll smile, because you'll know it wasn't fast at all. It was daily. It was quiet. It was boring, repetitive, lonely, and disciplined. And it rewired every part of you. Because when your habits change, your beliefs change. When your beliefs change, your behavior shifts. And when your behavior shifts, your life transforms. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be faithful. Faithful to the process. Faithful to the new identity you're carving out of your old self. Faithful to the future that's already waiting for you, if you show up for it. So write down the habits, burn them into your routine, make them sacred, and guard them like your life depends on them, because it does. Chapter 7. Upgrade your inner circle. No matter how strong your drive is, you are always being shaped by the people closest to you. Your thoughts, your habits, your ambition, they're all being influenced, subtly or loudly, by the environment you choose to sit in. And for most people, that's exactly why they stay the same. They never upgrade the circle. If you want to become unrecognizable, you must outgrow who surrounds you. That doesn't mean you cut off everyone and live in isolation. It means you become hyper-aware of who is feeding your future and who is keeping you trapped in your past. Every conversation is either watering your potential or drying it out. Every friend is either pushing you or pulling you. There is no middle ground. There is no neutral when it comes to environment. It starts subtle. You make a commitment to change your life, but your circle isn't on the same page. Maybe they mock your habits. Maybe they roll their eyes when you say no to junk food. Maybe they laugh when you get up early to train, or study, or build. Maybe they don't say anything at all. They just keep showing you, with their actions, that your progress makes them uncomfortable. And if you're not careful, you'll slow down. Not because you lack discipline, but because you crave acceptance. We're all wired for connection. That's human. But what no one tells you is that connection is also a trap. When your connection to the wrong people is stronger than your connection to the person you're trying to become, you stay stuck, not because you don't want more, but because you're afraid to lose what's familiar. That fear is real. But what's more real is this: you cannot rise in an environment that's allergic to growth. You have to get honest. Who around you challenges your comfort zone? Who around you pushes you to think bigger? Who holds you accountable when your actions don't align with your words? And more importantly, who enables your laziness? Who supports your distractions? Who keeps you laughing about the very things you said you wanted to change? That's the danger zone. You want to transform your body? Surround yourself with people who value discipline, fitness, routine. You want to elevate your mindset? Hang with thinkers, with builders, with people who read, question, seek. You want to escape mediocrity? Then stop calling it friendship when it's really a shared addiction to distraction. This isn't about judging people. This is about protecting your progress, because every time you choose to spend hours with people who mock your vision, you're leaking belief. Every time you explain your hunger to someone who's still full of excuses, you dilute your fire. Let them be, but don't let them shape you. The people you keep closest to you should not just accept your change, they should expect it. They should be the kind of people who don't flinch when you say you're doing the impossible. They should light up. They should ask how they can help. They should say, let's go. And if that sounds like fantasy, that's because you've been settling. It's time to upgrade. Start with silence. Reduce your access. Pull back. Don't announce it. Just move differently. Let them feel your absence. Let your discipline create distance. And while that space grows, start seeking better rooms. Rooms where your effort is normal. Rooms where your ambition doesn't feel like arrogance. Rooms where being consistent isn't weird, it's the standard. Those rooms exist. You just haven't stepped into them yet. And you won't, until you let go of the old one. If you do this right, it will hurt. You'll lose people. You'll have lonely weeks. You'll question whether you made the right choice. But stay the course, because soon you'll find yourself surrounded by people who think like you, move like you, fight like you, people who sharpen your vision instead of blur it, people who pull you forward instead of holding you in place. And then you'll realize it was never personal, it was necessary. You didn't leave people behind. You moved toward your future. And anyone who was meant to walk with you, they'll catch up. Chapter 8. Own your energy, control your life. Energy is not just a feeling. It's not just how tired or excited you are. Energy is your currency. It's the invisible force that fuels your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, and ultimately your transformation. You can have all the knowledge in the world, all the motivation in the moment, But if your energy is low, scattered, or stolen, you won't move. You won't push. You won't create the shift that makes you unrecognizable. That's why every person who rises beyond their limits has one thing in common. They protect their energy like it's sacred. Look around. How much of your day is spent on things that leave you drained? The mindless scrolling, the overexposure to noise, the conversations that go nowhere, the people who pull you into stories that are not your responsibility, the guilt you carry from things you can't control, the need to constantly explain yourself to people who refuse to understand. All of that costs you energy. And here's the part most never realize. It's not time that's limited, it's attention. You can have a full day free on your calendar and still get nothing done if your energy is leaking all over the place. You can't give your best to your future if you're constantly exhausted by your present. Owning your energy means becoming selective, ruthless even. You stop letting people interrupt your flow just because they expect access. You stop saying yes to things you've outgrown just to avoid awkwardness. You stop handing over hours of your mind to screens, trends, and trash. Because every time you do, you shrink. And you weren't made to shrink. You were made to build. You were made to carry power, not perform for attention. And power doesn't exist in chaos. It's found in alignment. Ask yourself, what truly feeds you? What environments bring clarity, not confusion? Who are the people that leave you sharper, not slower? What routines light you up instead of drain you? Start there, because the key to owning your energy is awareness. You don't have to fix everything at once. You just have to become aware of what's robbing you, and then choose better. Every day, you wake up with a limited tank, and if you waste it on nonsense early in the day, by the time it's time to create, build, or grow, you're empty. Not because you're broken, but because you spent your energy on things that didn't matter. What if for the next 14 days, you protected your mornings? What if you turned your phone off for the first hour and chose silence instead? What if you only responded to things that matched your goals? What if you let go of the need to argue, prove, explain, and instead just moved in silence? You'd feel different, because you'd be different. You'd reclaim your focus. You'd take back your rhythm. You'd start creating from intention, not exhaustion. Most people don't need more motivation. They need less noise, less leakage, less performing, more stillness, more clarity, more ownership. You can't control everything, but you can control your energy, and when you learn to manage that one thing, you can do more in one focused hour than most do in an entire day of chaos. So protect it. Declutter your mind. Detach from draining conversations. Stop letting anxiety lead your schedule. Start choosing peace over noise, and let that peace fuel your performance. Because the most dangerous version of you is the one that's rested, focused, clear, and no longer distracted by the opinions of the world. That version is waiting. And the key to unlocking it? Own your energy. Every day, unapologetically. Chapter 9. Identity is not found, it's built. You don't find yourself, you build yourself. That's the truth. Most people never learn. They spend years searching for who they are, reading, meditating, traveling, journaling, waiting for some inner voice to finally shout, "This is who you are." But identity doesn't work like that. It's not something hidden in your past. It's not buried deep inside waiting to be discovered. It's not a fixed thing passed down through blood or memory. Identity is crafted, sculpted, forged through repetition, decision, and pressure. Every action you take is not just a habit. It's a vote for the kind of person you want to become. And over time, those votes stack. They shape the mirror you see yourself in. Want to know why so many people feel lost? Because their actions are voting for a version of themselves they no longer respect. They say they want discipline, but they keep choosing comfort. They say they want freedom, but they keep avoiding responsibility. They say they want to be unrecognizable, but they act the same as they always have. If you want to become someone new, it's not about waiting. It's about choosing. Right here, right now. Identity begins with intention. You decide what kind of person you want to be. Then you prove it to yourself through action. Not once, not when it's convenient, not when someone's watching. Every day, especially when no one's watching. Let's say you want to become someone who is focused, who is relentless, who commands respect and earns it. Then start acting like it now, even before it feels real. Especially before it feels real. You don't wait to feel confident to become confident. You build confidence by keeping your promises. You build confidence by acting in alignment with your vision. Again and again. Every morning you rise early instead of hitting snooze. You prove, I am becoming that person. Every time you say no to distractions, you reinforce that identity. Every time you train, write, build, lead, show up, you're building that version of you. It won't feel natural at first. It's not supposed to. The old you will resist. The familiar routines will tempt you back. But you hold the line. You act like the person you've committed to becoming. And eventually, it sticks. Your identity shifts. People start to see it before you do. Your posture changes. Your tone carries weight. You stop apologizing for evolving. You stop seeking permission to grow. You walk into rooms differently, not louder, but sharper, ground. And the best part? You no longer fear losing people, because you're no longer attached to who you used to be. That's the freedom most people will never taste. The freedom of living life from a created identity, not a conditioned one. You're not stuck with the version of you that was shaped by pain, trauma, or old stories. That person may have survived, but you weren't made to survive. You were made to build. And what you build with your hands, your habits, your hours, you come to respect. You stop doubting it. You stop explaining it. You simply become it. So stop searching for yourself. Start building yourself. Brick by brick. Choice by choice. Day by day. You're not lost. You're just undeveloped. And every action you take from here on out is either laying the groundwork for the next version of you or keeping you trapped in the last. You decide. Because identity is not what you inherit. It's what you were. Chapter 10. The mirror doesn't lie. Every morning you face the truth. Not in your goals, not in your plans, not in your dreams, but in the mirror. Because the mirror is the most honest place in your world. It doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't listen to what you meant to do. It doesn't reflect your intentions. It reflects your actions. And every time you look into it, it tells you one thing. This is who you've been. Not who you want to be. Not who you hope to be. Who you've become through your choices. That's why so many people avoid the mirror. They keep the lights low. They distract themselves with noise, because when the mirror is quiet, when it shows you what you truly are, there's no one left to blame. But the ones who change, the ones who become unrecognizable, they make peace with the mirror. Not because they like what they see, but because they're ready to change it. When you can stand in front of yourself without flinching, without lying, without covering up the parts you hate, that's when transformation becomes possible. Because you can't change what you won't confront. Look at yourself. Not the clothes, not the angles. Look at the energy, the fire or the lack of it, the light or the tiredness in your eyes, the posture that tells the truth of your self-respect, the fatigue that speaks of discipline or of decay. It's all there. You can't Photoshop real life. You can't filter your spirit. You can't fake your frequency, and the mirror knows. Every skipped workout shows up. Every broken promise to yourself leaves a mark. Every late night spent on distraction carves deeper into your confidence. But so does every victory. Every rep. Every early morning. Every day you showed up when you could have quit. It all adds up, and eventually the mirror reflects that too. Not just in your body. In your presence, your eyes start to sharpen. Your stance changes. Your tone carries weight, not words. That's the moment where you stop recognizing who you used to be. The face is familiar, but the energy, that's different. That's earned. The mirror becomes a scoreboard, not of vanity, but of integrity. It doesn't ask you how hard your life is. It doesn't care about your past. It simply asks, did you show up today? And the hardest part? It's always right. You can't negotiate with it, but you can use it. Use the mirror to check your truth, not for aesthetics, but alignment. Ask yourself, is this the body of someone who values themselves? Is this the face of someone who sleeps on their greatness? Is this the reflection of someone who's keeping their word or breaking it? Because your body keeps score, your energy keeps score, your life keeps score, and that score is written on your reflection. Here's the good news: the mirror is not your enemy. It's your checkpoint. It's your report card. It's your invitation to rise. No matter how far you've fallen, you can always come back. The mirror has no memory, only reflection. It doesn't hold grudges. It simply shows you what you do. So do better, not someday, today. And when you do it long enough, the reflection changes. You look again, and it stuns you. Because this new version, the one with fire in their eyes, power in their walk, and peace in their presence, that version came from the ashes of who you used to be. And no one can fake that. Not for long. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up and stand in front of yourself again, don't look away, don't sigh, don't flinch. Just look deeply, and ask, is this the person I promised I'd become? If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, get to work, because that reflection, it's your responsibility. And the truth is, the mirror doesn't lie, but it will show you the truth you're strong enough to change. Chapter 11. Raise your standards or stay the same. There comes a moment in every transformation when the real shift isn't physical, it's internal. A line is drawn. Quietly. Privately. A standard is set, and from that moment forward, nothing beneath that standard is acceptable again. That's what it takes to become unrecognizable. You raise your standards, or you stay the same. Most people don't change because they tolerate too much. They accept less. They adapt to average. They stay in environments that drain them, routines that break them, habits that slowly dissolve their fire, and they call it life. But the few who rise, they get fed up. They look around and say, I can't keep living like this. Not because they hate themselves, but because they've seen glimpses of who they could be, and they're no longer willing to settle for the version that keeps showing up. This is the turning point. It's not about changing everything overnight. It's about raising the bar so high that anything less than your full power becomes uncomfortable. This is where the shift becomes permanent. Because when your standards rise, your life rises with them. When you raise your standards, you stop negotiating with laziness. You stop justifying inconsistency. You stop hanging around mediocrity just to feel safe. You realize that love without respect is a prison. That fun without purpose is a trap. That comfort without challenge is a slow death. So you start saying no more. Not out of arrogance, but out of alignment. You stop giving time to people who waste it. You stop letting your mornings be random. You stop lowering your ambition to make others feel comfortable. Your language changes. You stop saying someday. You start saying today. You stop chasing motivation and start honoring structure. You don't wait to feel ready. You get ready by doing. And day by day, your life starts to reflect it. Your room looks different. Your schedule looks different. Your body changes. Your tone sharpens. Your pace increases. Your energy shifts. Your presence becomes heavy. Not loud, heavy, because people feel your new standard, even if you never say a word. And yes, some will walk away. Let them. Your new standard will be uncomfortable for anyone who refuses to raise their own. That's not your problem. This chapter is not about begging people to understand. It's about making yourself so grounded in your values that you no longer need validation. If something doesn't meet your standard, it doesn't stay. Simple. Food, friends, thoughts, habits, conversations, work. If it pulls you down, it goes. If it doesn't build, it breaks. And if it slows you, it's not allowed. That's how winners move. This is not about perfection. This is about elevation. Every single thing in your life is either rising with you or weighing you down. So here's the truth. If your life hasn't changed, it's because your standards haven't. You still tolerate things your future self would never allow. You still entertain stories your strongest self has already outgrown. You still keep doors open that were supposed to be closed a long time ago. And now you let go. Now you clean house. Now you tighten the circle. Now you guard your hours. Now you get brutal with your time. Now you raise the bar and never lower it again. Let this be the chapter where you get angry at mediocrity, not in others but in yourself. Not in a way that brings shame, but in a way that awakens fire. Because the version of you that's waiting, that version lives on the other side of higher standards. So decide now, are you going to keep tolerating the life you've settled for? Or are you going to demand more from yourself? This is not just self-improvement. This is self-respect. And respect begins when you finally look in the mirror and say, this isn't enough anymore. I'm done shrinking. I'm done explaining. I'm done settling. It's time to level up. Chapter 12, Stay unseen until you can't be ignored. There's a kind of silence that builds storms. A silence that's not rooted in weakness, fear, or avoidance, but in discipline, focus, and strategy. Most people rush to be seen. They crave validation before value. They want applause before impact. They chase recognition before preparation. And that's exactly why they stay stuck. Because in the rush to be known, they neglect to become undeniable. But the few who become unrecognizable, they choose the opposite path. They build in the dark. They train without cameras. They create in silence. They bleed in private. They suffer without seeking sympathy. And they rise, not with noise, but with results. Because here's the truth. If they can ignore you, you haven't worked enough. Not just loud enough, not hard enough, not real enough. You don't need to beg for followers, attention, or likes. You don't need to prove your worth every hour. You need to lock in and do the work so relentlessly, so deeply, so powerfully, that they're forced to notice. And by the time they see you, it's too late. You've already become a weapon. You've already shifted your identity. You've already elevated your game to a level that no one saw coming. This is what it means to stay unseen until you can't be ignored. It means putting your head down when your ego wants to show off. It means getting up early when no one's clapping. It means turning off your phone when distractions scream for attention. It means creating the kind of momentum that doesn't require marketing, because the results will speak louder than anything you say. Silence is the forge. Isolation is the pressure. Consistency is the fire. And character is the foundation. You don't become elite in front of an audience. You become elite when no one's watching. The gym with no spotlight. The journal no one reads. The days you choose routine over reward. The sacrifices that leave you unnoticed. That's where the transformation is born. And when you finally emerge, you'll be so far ahead, so sharp, so deep, so real. They won't be able to understand how you got there, because they didn't see the nights you went without. They didn't hear the voices you silenced. They didn't feel the temptations you ignored. You were too busy becoming something they couldn't comprehend. So stay quiet. Let them laugh. Let them underestimate. Let them scroll past. Let them forget. Because every moment they look away is one more day you get stronger, without their noise, without their pressure, without their judgment. And when the time is right, when the foundation is strong, when the fire is undeniable, when the work is done, step into the light, not to prove anything, but because your existence now demands recognition. By then, it won't even be about showing them anything. You'll just walk differently, talk differently, operate on a frequency that they can't ignore, even if they want to. Because the work, it speaks. The glow, it's earned. And the transformation, it's permanent. So stop rushing. Start building. Let the quiet become your superpower. Stay until you can't be ignored. Chapter 13. Burn the old blueprint. There comes a time in your life when you have to stop editing your past and start redesigning your future. You can't build a new life with an old blueprint. You can't keep revisiting the same ideas, the same patterns, the same excuses, and expect a different result. It doesn't matter how much you tweak it, adjust it, sugarcoat it. If the foundation is broken, the structure will always collapse. That's why the most powerful transformations are not built on top of who you used to be. They are born when you decide to burn the version of you that created the life you no longer want. The decisions, the behaviors, the environment, the identity. You have to be willing to set fire to your former self and say, I don't live there anymore. Most people will never make this leap. They want to change, but only if they can take the past with them. They want to become new, but still feel comfortable. They want to reach the next level, but still think like the last one. But change is not comfortable. It's confrontational, and it doesn't negotiate with your attachments. The real shift happens when you stop trying to fix your old self, and you choose to replace it. You stop asking, how can I improve this version of me? And start asking, who do I need to become that would make this version irrelevant? Burning the blueprint means rejecting the script that life handed you. The script that said, be realistic. The script that said, you're too much. The one that told you, this is who you are. The one that made you believe, this is all you'll ever have. You didn't write that script, but you've been living by it. Until now. Now you take the pen back. Now you write a new story. Not based on memory but vision. Not based on survival but intention. You see, when you burn the blueprint, you also burn the need for permission. You no longer ask, is this the right time? You declare, this is my time. You no longer seek approval for your dreams. You execute them without applause. You no longer ask others what they think of your new direction. Because deep down, you already know it's yours to walk. This kind of detachment is scary. You lose people. You lose comfort. You lose parts of yourself. But what you gain? You gain clarity. You gain focus. You gain the ability to create a life that's not based on who you've been, but who you're becoming. And with every piece of the old blueprint you burn, something powerful happens. You begin to rebuild, not quickly, not recklessly, but deliberately. You lay new bricks. Bricks made from discipline, not distraction. Bricks held together by purpose, not pressure. Bricks that form the structure of a future that is not inherited, but designed. People may not understand. Let them watch. They'll see you walking in places they never thought you'd reach. They'll see you speak with a tone they never heard before. They'll feel the weight of your presence. And they'll ask, how did you change so much? But you'll know the truth. You didn't change. You replaced the version of you that was never meant to survive this far. You chose the fire. You walked through it, and you became something new. So today, take a hard look at the blueprint you've been following. Who gave it to you? What life is it building? Who benefits from it? And most importantly, does it reflect the person you've committed to becoming? If not, then burn it. Not with regret, with resolve. Because the most dangerous thing you can do is build a future using plans designed by your limitations. You don't need a renovation. You need a rebirth. And the match is already in your hand. Chapter 14. Move like it's already yours. There's a point in your transformation when you stop trying to become something and start moving like you already are. Not because you're faking it. Not because you're arrogant. But because deep down, you know you've already earned the right to walk differently. The world responds to certainty, not insecurity, not hesitation, not constant explanation, but certainty. And nothing signals certainty like behavior. Not your bio, not your business card, not your followers, your behavior. How you speak, how you walk, how you sit at the table, how you show up in the room. Before saying a single word, people feel who believes in themselves and who's still negotiating their value internally. That's why this chapter is critical, because if you've made it this far in the journey, you're no longer becoming. You've become. Now it's time to start moving like it. Not later. Now. Start making decisions like the person you wrote about in your journal. Start speaking like the version of you that doesn't explain everything to everyone. Start commanding your time like the future you that values every second. Start choosing your actions like the person who doesn't ask for permission anymore. This isn't delusion. It's alignment. The universe doesn't respond to your doubt. It responds to your decisions. And when you move like it's already yours, your body changes, your posture shifts, your energy sharpens, your mind clears, your voice deepens. You become a magnet, not for attention, but for alignment. You start drawing in people, opportunities and ideas that match your frequency because you're finally walking in it. Most people wait to feel qualified. They wait for someone to tell them. Now you can move like that. But that's the lie. No one's coming to crown you. You either step into your power or you spend your life shrinking from it. You don't wait to be picked. You pick yourself. You don't wait for the door to open. You build your own. You don't wait until everything is perfect. You move anyway. Because motion creates belief. The more you act like it's already yours, the more you become the person capable of holding it. That's what people don't realize. It's not about feeling confident. It's about moving with confidence until it becomes your default setting. So from now on, act like your name is already known in rooms you haven't walked into yet. Your work is already changing lives you haven't met. Your ideas are already being whispered in circles you haven't entered. Your presence is already echoing in spaces that once ignored you. Because if you've done the inner work, the outer life is just playing catch-up. This isn't fake it till you make it. This is believe it, because you've built it. The groundwork has been laid. The fire has been lit. The chains have been broken. The standard has been raised. The old you has been buried. Now rise. Move like it's already yours. Walk into every space like the invitation was written by your future self. Speak like the room was waiting to hear your clarity. Work like the result is already written, but only you can unlock it. And if someone asks why you carry yourself that way, why you stand so tall, why your silence speaks louder than their noise, you smile, because they weren't there on day one. They didn't see the pain. They didn't hear the doubt. They didn't feel the shame. They didn't suffer the silence. They didn't bleed behind the scenes. But you did. And now, you walk like it's already yours, because you finally realize. It is. Chapter 15. The day you break through. There's a moment. It doesn't come with music. It doesn't announce itself, but it changes everything. It's the day you wake up and realize you're no longer who you were. You've crossed over. You've broken through. It's not a headline moment. No one throws a party. There's no dramatic climax. It's quiet, still, clean. But in that moment, you feel it. You've shifted for good. This is the day you've been building towards for 21 days, brick by brick, hour by hour, choice by choice. The version of you that started this journey wouldn't recognize who's standing here now, because now there's clarity in your eyes. There's weight in your silence. There's sharpness in your routine. There's calm in your storm. You don't need to say much anymore. You've embodied it. This day isn't about shouting. It's about knowing. Knowing that the pain was worth it. The isolation served its purpose. The setbacks trained you. The silence grew you. The grind built you. And now, Now you move with a different kind of peace, not the peace that comes from comfort, but the peace that comes from alignment. You're finally living in rhythm with who you were always meant to be. You don't flinch anymore when pressure shows up, because pressure no longer defines you, it reveals you. You don't need the world's permission to rise. You already gave it to yourself. You don't chase things anymore. You attract them, because your presence now speaks before you do. You walk into rooms with certainty. You carry yourself like someone who has nothing to prove, but everything to execute. You speak with the clarity of someone who's done the inner work. You act with the discipline of someone who's no longer confused about what they want. This is the breakthrough. This is the arrival. But it's not the end. It's the beginning. Because becoming unrecognizable isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. It's a standard. It's a war you win every morning. You protect your energy like a sacred currency. You reject distractions like they're poison. You command your time like your future depends on it, because it does. You've replaced laziness with urgency, doubt with action, fear with movement, noise with silence, excuses with execution. And now you realize you never needed more time. You never needed more motivation. You just needed to believe deeply enough to move like it was already yours. And now it is. From here on, every day is a reflection of this standard. Every decision is either aligned or it's not. Every word you speak carries weight or it doesn't get said. You're no longer addicted to the old story. You've become the author of your future. So what do you do now? You keep going. You keep evolving. You keep rising. Because if this version of you shocked the world, imagine what the next version will do. Unrecognizable wasn't a goal. It was a warning. To every excuse, to every doubt, to every limitation that tried to hold you back. This voice, this presence, this power was always inside you. Now the world will feel it. And this is how you become unrecognizable in 21 days. Not with hacks, not with noise, but with decision, discipline, and relentless identity shift. Now, walk. Don't run. Stand tall. Don't beg. Own the room. Don't chase it. You've already crossed the line. Never go back. Unrecognizable isn't a dream anymore. It's who you are now.